What if I told you that you are not the storm of thoughts and feelings raging inside your mind? What if you are not the chaos, the anxiety, the constant inner narrator, but are instead the unshakable silence in which that storm takes place? An ancient mystic, Meister Eckhart, made a shocking claim. He said there is a place in the soul that time never touches, a fortress of pure awareness, an inner citadel. He called it the divine spark. We think this is a beautiful metaphor. What if it's a location, the very ground of your being? For centuries, we've been taught to look for the divine out there, in the heavens, in temples, in ancient books. But the greatest mystics, from the Stoics to the Neoplatonists, whispered a different secret. The journey isn't outward, but inward, deep into the center of your own consciousness. What we are about to explore isn't just a forgotten philosophy. It is a map, our guide to finding that indestructible core within you, and discovering that this inner citadel is not a refuge from the world, but a portal to the very source of reality itself. So, let's ask the most fundamental question. When you say I, who is actually speaking? Are you the voice in your head that never stops narrating, judging, worrying? The one that's probably commenting on these words right now? Imagine your mind is a vast kingdom. Inside this kingdom, a frantic messenger is always running around. This is the ego, the inner narrator. It brings news of threats from the borders, worries about the treasury, replays old battles, and plans for future campaigns. It never, ever stops talking. And for our entire lives, we have been taught that we are this messenger. But deep within the heart of this kingdom, in the throne room of the inner citadel, sits a silent sovereign, a king. This king is not a person, it is a presence. It is pure awareness itself. It hears the messenger's frantic reports. It observes the chaos in the courtyard. It feels the tremors of the kingdom's wars. But it is not the chaos. It is the still, unshakable center from which everything is perceived. The great human tragedy is a case of mistaken identity. We have abdicated the throne to live as the terrified messenger. We are tossed about by every rumor, every fear, every desire. The work of the mystic, the philosopher, the true seeker, is not to kill the messenger, but to gently, firmly return to the throne. It is to shift our allegiance from the noise of the mind to the silence of the soul that hears it. This isn't a modern psychological trick, it's the core of an ancient spiritual science. So what happens to a person when they stop identifying with the fleeting weather of their thoughts and start remembering that they are the eternal sky? This process of mistaken identity is the silent engine behind almost all human suffering. It's a subtle act of fusion. A thought appears, I am not good enough, and instantly, the pure formless light of your awareness fuses with it. The subject, which is infinite presence, collapses into the object, a fleeting, conditioned idea. You are no longer the space that allows the thought, you become the thought. Think of your consciousness not just as a silent king, but as a pure white light, the source of a projector. Your thoughts, memories, and emotions are the film slides. When a slide of a past failure is inserted, a dark image is projected onto the screen of your reality. When a slide of a future anxiety is shown, a chaotic image appears. We have spent our lives hypnotized by the flickering movie on the screen, believing we are the shadows, the heroes, the villains in the story. We have forgotten that we are, and have always been, the immaculate light that makes the entire show possible. The tragedy is that this light has no judgment. It will illuminate any slide you put in front of it with equal, unwavering brilliance. It will shine through a slide of anger just as faithfully as it shines through a slide of peace. The entire drama of the kingdom, the messenger's panic, the courtier's gossip, the treasury's emptiness, is a movie being projected, and the silent sovereign's only job is to stop watching the screen and remember it is the source of the light. This idea of a silent divine center is not a singular revelation. It is a golden thread woven through the deepest tapestries of human wisdom. Meister Eckhart gave it a voice within Christianity, but he was tapping into a universal perennial philosophy. Long before Eckhart, the Neoplatonist philosopher Plotinus spoke of the One, the ultimate ineffable source from which all reality emanates. He taught that our individual souls are like ripples flowing from this single, infinite ocean. The spiritual journey for Plotinus was a flight of the alone to the alone, a turning away from the distractions of the outer world to remember our origin in that divine source. Our inner citadel is not just a fortress, it is a homing beacon, signaling our way back to the One. The Stoics, known for their pragmatic and resilient philosophy, built their entire ethical system upon this same foundation. They called this inner sovereign the Logos, the universal reason or divine fire that permeates everything. For Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, the goal of life was to live in accordance with this inner reason, to build a citadel of the mind that no external event, no misfortune, no opinion of others could ever breach. They practiced a kind of spiritual physics, understanding that what is inside you is a fragment of the same intelligence that governs the cosmos. Funny how the oldest advice in the world is to know thyself. It's still the hardest final boss to beat. And this journey inward is the very essence of what Joseph Campbell called the monomyth, or the hero's journey. The hero hears a call, leaves the ordinary world, and descends into the abyss, the labyrinth of their own mind. There, in the darkest cave, they don't find a monster to be slain, but a treasure to be reclaimed. That treasure is the recognition of their own divine nature, the silent king on the throne. This is the ultimate boon that the hero brings back to the world. So Eckhart's divine spark is not an isolated heresy. It is the Christian articulation of the Stoic Logos, the Neoplatonic memory of the One, and the final treasure of the archetypal hero. What then were the tools these traditions offered to actually make this journey? All of this philosophy is beautiful, but it remains a distant star unless we can build a bridge to our daily lives. So what did Eckhart and these other traditions actually propose? What are the practical steps to return to the throne of the inner citadel? The manual can be broken down into 3 fundamental practices of perception. The first principle is what Eckhart called Abgeschiedenheit, which translates to detachment or cut-offness. But this is not a cold, indifferent detachment. The practice here is not to stop caring about the world, but to cut the ropes of identification with the things in the world. This begins with your thoughts. The first step is to simply watch them, to observe the frantic messenger without believing you are the messenger. Here's the application. The next time a wave of anger or anxiety arises, instead of saying, "I am angry," try framing it as "I am aware of a feeling of anger." This simple shift in language creates a space. You are no longer the wave. You are the ocean that is observing the wave. Think of how your messy room can reflect your state of mind. The practice isn't just to clean the room, but to ask, what is this external disorder telling me about my internal state? You are learning to see your thoughts and feelings as objects passing through your awareness, not as the substance of your awareness. The second principle is Gelassenheit, a deeper state of surrender or letting be. Once you can observe your thoughts without identifying with them, the next step is to let them go, not by force, but by withdrawing your attention from them. The application for this is surprisingly simple, yet profound. It is the conscious use of the breath. When the mind is spiraling, bring your attention to the physical sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. The breath is always in the present moment. The mind is almost never there. By anchoring your awareness in the breath, you gently starve the frantic messenger of the attention it craves. You are not fighting your thoughts. You are simply choosing to place your focus elsewhere. This is the art of letting go, not as a grand one-time act, but as 1,000 small moments of returning to the present. The third principle is the birth of the divine. This isn't an action you take, but a revelation that occurs as a consequence of the first 2. Once you have created space through detachment and stillness through surrender, something new can arise in that silence. This is the shift from observing the kingdom to truly inhabiting the throne. The practical bridge here is to ask a new kind of question. Instead of asking, "What should I do?" you begin to ask, "What is wanting to be revealed here?" Instead of imposing your will on reality, you learn to listen to the intelligence that is already present. This is the movement from egocentric doing to soul-centric being. You discover that the silent king within you isn't just a passive observer, but an active, intelligent presence. The source. If these ideas resonate with you, consider subscribing so we can continue this journey together. This threefold path, observe, let go, and listen, is the practical alchemy that transmutes the lead of a chaotic mind into the gold of a centered soul. It is the core workout for strengthening the walls of your inner citadel. So you've practiced detachment. You've learned to surrender. You've started to identify with the silent, sovereign awareness within. But it is here, in the quiet of that inner throne room, that Meister Eckhart delivers his most staggering, most paradoxical, and most liberating revelation. He said, "I pray God to rid me of God." What could this possibly mean? It sounds like the ultimate heresy. But it is in fact the final key. Eckhart makes a terrifying distinction between God and the Godhead. God, for Eckhart, is everything we can name, conceptualize, and worship. The God of religion, the God of philosophy, the God who is a benevolent father, a cosmic judge, an external creator. All of this, he says, is a construct, a final golden idol created by the mind. It is the most beautiful slide in the projector's collection, but it is still just a slide. To truly unite with the source, you must be willing to let go of even your most cherished ideas about the source. You must let go of God to find what lies beyond God. This is the ultimate detachment, the final surrender. And what lies beyond? Eckhart calls it the Gottheit, the Godhead, a silent, formless, absolute reality, a vast, unknowable desert. It is not a being, it is the ground of all being. It doesn't act. It is the stillness from which all action arises. It cannot be known by the mind, because it is the intelligence that gives rise to the mind. And here is the twist that shatters the very foundation of the separate self. What if that silent sovereign awareness you've discovered within your inner citadel, that timeless, formless observer, is not your awareness at all? What if it is an outpost of the Godhead itself? What if the Godhead is the ocean, and your consciousness is not a drop in the ocean, but the ocean experiencing itself in the form of a single drop? The final step of the journey is not to find God, but to realize you are the very space through which the universe is looking. This prayer is not a clever turn of phrase. It is the most courageous act of the spiritual life. It is the final willing demolition of the inner citadel you have worked so hard to find. Why? Because as long as the citadel stands, there is still a distinction between inside and outside. There is still a you who is safe inside and a world that is kept out. Imagine you have spent your life studying a perfect, sacred map of the cosmos. It is beautiful, infinitely complex, and utterly reliable. This map is God. You can worship it. You can pray to it. You can devote your entire existence to deciphering its symbols. But it will always be a map, a representation. Eckhart's final teaching is this: to know the territory, you must be willing to set the map on fire. This is a leap into the abyss. It is the death of the seeker, for as long as there is a you seeking God, the fundamental illusion of separation is maintained. There is a subject looking for an object. The final stage of the journey requires the courage to let the seeker dissolve, to release the very notion of a separate self that is having a spiritual experience. It is the ultimate vulnerability. And now what? Once the map is burned, once the seeker dissolves, once you realize your awareness is not yours but the universe's, what does that mean for how you live, choose, and act on a Monday morning? The first implication is a profound shift in responsibility. As long as you believe you are the frantic messenger, your life is a reaction. You are a victim of circumstance, a puppet of your thoughts and feelings. But when you begin to identify with the silent, sovereign source, you are no longer just a character in the play. You are, in some mysterious way, co-author of the script. Your perception is no longer a passive mirror reflecting the world. It becomes an active, creative force. The state of your consciousness begins to inform the quality of your reality. According to these traditions, the universe is not made of things, but of mind stuff. The Stoics would say you don't react to events, but to your judgments about them. Eckhart would go further. He would suggest that the very substance of your experience is woven from the fabric of your consciousness. This introduces an immense ethical challenge. If your awareness is a portal for the divine, then every thought you entertain, every word you speak, every action you take is either a clear vessel for that presence or a distortion of it. Life ceases to be a quest for personal happiness and becomes a question of cosmic alignment. Is this action, this thought, this choice, a true expression of the silent sovereign within, or is it a regression to the frantic messenger's fear? You are no longer trying to get something from the world, love, security, validation. You start to see that your true function is to give something to the world, presence. To be the silent, unshakable space in which the chaos of life can unfold without consuming you. You become a source of stillness in a world of noise. This is no small thing. It may be the greatest gift one can offer. This awakening also fundamentally alters your relationship with time. The frantic messenger lives exclusively in the past and future, regretting what has been, fearing what might come. It uses the present moment merely as a stepping stone to get somewhere else. But the silent sovereign, the Godhead, knows only one reality, the eternal now. When you inhabit the throne of awareness, time itself changes its nature. It ceases to be a relentless predator chasing you towards death and becomes a boundless field in which creation unfolds. The next moment is no longer a destination to be reached, but simply the current moment transforming. This is not a mental trick, it is a profound shift in perception. The obsession with what's next dissolves, because you realize that the source of all life, all power, all reality is only and ever accessible now. The pressure to become someone is lifted, replaced by the simple radical act of being who you already are. Furthermore, this realization dismantles the very walls that separate you from others. If the divine spark within you is the same universal awareness that looks out through the eyes of everyone else, then the concept of a truly separate other becomes a profound illusion. You begin to understand that every person you meet is the Godhead in a different disguise, the silent king playing a different role. This doesn't mean you must agree with them or even like them, but it means you can no longer see them as fundamentally separate from you. You are both expressions of the same one, indivisible consciousness, looking at itself across a crowded room. This awakening also fundamentally alters your relationship with time. The frantic messenger lives exclusively in the past and future, regretting what has been, fearing what might come. It uses the present moment merely as a stepping stone to get somewhere else. But the silent sovereign, the Godhead, knows only one reality, the eternal now. When you inhabit the throne of awareness, time itself changes its nature. It ceases to be a relentless predator chasing you towards death and becomes a boundless field in which creation unfolds. The next moment is no longer a destination to be reached, but simply the current moment transforming. This is not a mental trick, it is a profound shift in perception. The obsession with what's next dissolves, because you realize that the source of all life, all power, all reality is only and ever accessible now. The pressure to become someone is lifted, replaced by the simple, radical act of being who you already are. Furthermore, this realization dismantles the very walls that separate you from others. If the divine spark within you is the same universal awareness that looks out through the eyes of everyone else, then the concept of a truly separate other becomes a profound illusion. You begin to understand that every person you meet is the Godhead in a different disguise, the silent king playing a different role. This doesn't mean you must agree with them or even like them, but it means you can no longer see them as fundamentally separate from you. You are both expressions of the same one, indivisible consciousness looking at itself across a crowded room. Meister Eckhart did not ask you to believe. He asked you to look, to turn the focus of your awareness 180 degrees, from the movie playing on the screen to the light that illuminates it. He taught that the divine is not a distant destination to be reached after a lifetime of striving, but the very fabric of your perception, here and now. The kingdom of God is not a place you go to. It is the space of awareness from which you are looking. The divine spark is not a poetic symbol. It is the truth of your unconditioned being, waiting patiently beneath the noise of the frantic messenger. This ancient wisdom, echoed by Stoics and Neoplatonists, doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, it presents us with a radical choice, a cosmic dilemma that confronts us in every moment. Will you continue to live as the terrified messenger, a slave to the fleeting weather of your mind? Or will you dare to claim your throne in the inner citadel, to remember that you are the silent, unshakable sovereign? This is not a question of belief, but of identity. It's not about who you want to be, but who you have always been. The final mystery isn't where God is, but for how long we can bear to recognize ourselves. Like this journey? Hit subscribe for more mysteries. And that's our hunt for now. A wild mix of documented history and tantalizing what-ifs based on bibliographical sources. What do you think?